Well, the U.S. President Joe Biden will be meeting his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping today. This will be at the APEC Summit in San Francisco. The meeting comes in the backdrop of the Israel-Hamas war that has been raging on in West Asia for over a month. But what's on the agenda for the summit? Well, let's take a look. The United States is hosting the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit of world leaders for the first time since 2011. Leaders from the 21-member Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Group will gather in San Francisco to talk about how to better spur trade and economic growth across the Pacific region. Now, to further explain what this means, APEC is a regional economic forum that was established in 1989. It is a forum to promote trade, investment and economic development among nations around the Pacific Ocean. The group started with 12 members in 1989, but has since grown to 21, including China, Russia, Japan, US and Australia. Those member nations pack a lot of punch, accounting for nearly 40% of the global population and almost half of the world's trade. The annual Leaders Conference brings together heads of nations and other top economic and diplomatic leaders, but the Russian President Vladimir Putin is facing an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court, will not be going to San Francisco, and the US has made it clear that he is unwelcome. Moscow will instead be represented by the Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Overich, still the highest level Russian visitor to the United States since the war began. Moreover, APEC members include not only Indonesia but neighboring Malaysia, where Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has faced calls from opposition to boycott the summit over the US support for Israel. APEC, which speaks of member economies instead of countries, unusually includes both China and Taiwan. But Taiwan is not represented by a politician but a business person, Maurice Chang. Meanwhile, Hong Kong will be represented by the Financial Secretary Paul Chan. Chief Executive John Lee, who is under the US sanctions for his role in the political crackdown in Hong Kong, has opted out of the summit, citing scheduling issues. While as of now, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has arrived in San Francisco. And the host country President Joe Biden has arrived in San Francisco as well to host the summit. San Francisco was selected as the venue for its historic ties to Asia and its central role in global technology, but APEC is unlikely to offer a respite from the issue that has dominated the American president's attention for a month, the Israel-Hamas war. And how effective is APEC going to be? Well, the forum has limited scope. It is centered on trade and economy. There is no military component. It wasn't forged by the world-altering event like a war. It technically has member economies rather than countries. That allows room for participation by both China-ruled Hong Kong and self-ruled Taiwan. APEC's strength lies in the ability to get countries to work together on big initiatives.
My name is Tasma Bang. Very honored to be here today to officially launch this amazing moment, every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, in this room, we're going to start with the first section that is called...
And we were earlier joined by our Voice of America correspondent Jessica Stone with the latest details from the APEC Summit in San Francisco. Take a look.
Well, I can tell you that I feel personally affected by that question, because where I'm standing right now, I'm told by the law enforcement officers around this hotel, this is where those thousands of protesters will likely stage on Wednesday morning, ahead of a day that's expected to include as many as 10,000 protesters. And they're not protesting all for the same reason. They tend to integrate amongst themselves and go up Market Street, which is just to my left, and goes past many of the important buildings here in San Francisco. They are protesting the war. They are protesting APEC itself. They are protesting the idea of free trade that is still in many parts of the United States, as we've seen with some of the electoral outcomes, a controversial idea, particularly if it means that U.S. jobs move overseas. And so we are likely to see anti-China protests. We've already seen those welcoming President Xi Jinping line the streets, even though they didn't have a chance of catching a glimpse. So yes, there's a real active and encouraged environment of open First Amendment, free speech and civic duty here. But I do have concerns about how many people will be here when I talk to you on Wednesday morning, my time, because I could be surrounded by quite a few folks, and I'm not sure how peaceful they will be.